like. Good evening, everyone. I'll call our meeting to order tonight, our regular American Canyon Fire Protection District meeting for July 28th, 2026. Please
Recording in progress.
Please join me as we say our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you mind doing our roll call, please?
Board Member Cruz?
Here.
Board Member Lamatina?
Here.
Board Member Oro?
Here.
Vice Chair Joseph?
Here.
And Chair Washington.
Here. Thank you, Martha. Report on closed session, confirmation of reportable actions. Mr. Ross?
Chair, board members, members of the public, the board convened in open session at 5:32 p.m. and after determining no comments on closed session, adjourned to closed session 5:32, addressed the matters agendized for closed session consideration, concluding at 6:33 p.m. I will do a written report upon return from closed session consistent with the provisions of Government Code Section 54-957.1D-B. That would conclude the report unless there are questions.
Any questions from the board? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Ross. Moving forward on to our proclamations presentation. Tonight we have no proclamations and 2 presentations, and we'll start off first with item number 3, the American Canyon Fire Protection District Explorer Program. We will be receiving information and updates from the Explorer programs by Fire Captain Robert Rojas. Sorry.
And board, this was something we tried to do a couple months ago, but due to schedule conflicts, we ended up canceling it, so it got pushed back for the last 2 months. But it gives a good update on our program and where we're at today.
Okay. Oh, for a second there, I thought Barry was a cadet. An explorer. He started walking up there. I was like, Barry's an explorer? Okay.
All right. Good afternoon, Chair and board members. As some of you guys know, the Explore program restarted in 2023. It was shut down during COVID, and we restarted it back January 1st, 2023. With that, the Explore program is kids from the ages of 14 to 21 that want to know about the fire service. Teaches them core values, life lessons that they could take with them for the rest of their careers, and not just with their careers, but with the rest of their lives. So standing behind me are our current fire explorers. I'm just going to go down the list, and they're going to introduce themselves and say how long they've been in the program.
Sergio Garcia, and I've been an Explorer since February 2022.
And then we have one of our advisors, Captain Abalos, as well. So since starting the program, we've had a lot of explorers come and go. Some have aged out, some have just moved on. Some of our explorers have already been through EMT school. Some of them are in paramedic school. Some of them are in nursing school. Some of our current explorers have also become EMTs and are in nursing school as well. So instead of just me standing here telling you about the program, I'd like to show you a video that I made, a small little documentary about the program. And it highlights, it just follows 3 explorers, talks about their experiences in their own words. So if you guys have any questions, we'll answer them after the video. and I hope you guys enjoy.
At first, I joined the Firefighting Explorer program as more of a trial run to see where I wanted to go with my future and what I wanted to do with my future, because I was going in a bunch of different directions.
Come on, let's go! Let's go!
And then after doing that, I decided here that I was going to become a firefighter. So this is like an important stepping stone on my way to becoming a firefighter. And it was also really important to me because it helped me figure out what I wanted to do with my future.
I feel like me joining this program is kind of like me investing in my future. There's a lot of people that are in my position that are sitting at home and not really doing anything and saying they want to be a firefighter. But I feel like this program to me is me putting my foot through the door and trying to push myself in the right path to get into this career. That's why it's very important to me to be here as an explorer.
I think it's easily got to be the part where we get to go on ride-alongs and stuff like that, but also learning about just the firefighting aspect in general. As a kid, I used to dress up and pretend I was a firefighter, so I'd rescue my dog all the time. I think now learning like every aspect from just EMT, paramedics, and also vehicle extrication and structure fires, all that stuff has been great to see. I feel like just learning all that and like getting exposed to it has been great. I know I loved it a lot.
Accountability is a big thing, no matter where you are. And that's something that I learned here. I see you guys here working and taking accountability for even the smallest little thing. And I think that that's the biggest thing I've taken away here.
Down, up, 21. Down, up, 22. Down, up, 26. Down, up, 27.
Beforehand, I was lost for sure. I was too much of someone who was indecisive. I didn't know what I wanted to be, whether it be a nurse, firefighter, engineer, programmer, anything you say under the sun I wanted to be.
I've made a lot of mistakes in this program, and I feel like I've built myself from it. And honestly, I feel like the mistakes that I've made have kind of helped me more than the successes that I've had.
They have a lot of people here who can help you achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve through this.
All right, so who's calling commands? I'm calling commands. All right. Let me know you're ready. Back, forward. Ladder coming around. We're getting there. Ladder coming through. Ladder coming around. You're looking at the tip. Just say, we're going to move the tip.
The firefighters here, they'll always be here to help you out, no matter what it is. And I know that I struggled sometimes to ask for help or ask questions. I was nervous or intimidated just by like not knowing. So ask questions, even if it's not here as an explorer, anywhere. If you have a question, you should ask it.
The advisors are very good at it. If you make a mistake, learn from it, build off of it.
I guess like, yeah, no, we wait, like I know what I want to be now for sure. Not just like career-wise, like oh, I don't want to be a firefighter and whatever comes after that, and then also a nurse, both things. But I also know like who I want to be as a person. I want to be at least someone who's like not just a good person, but someone who is genuine. But like just because of my own heart and my own will to do it.
My biggest takeaway from all of this is, okay, there's some moments in life, either outside of work, if you do join this career, is you're going to be uncomfortable, and you're going to be in a position you really don't want to be in. But it's the aspect of confidence. It's being in it, sitting through it, learning from it.
All right. Okay. Oh, do I just stand up and leave? Yeah.
happy to take any questions if you guys have any.
Okay, thanks, Robert. I would just say real quick from me, I think that, one, I'm proud of all of the explorers, and just as proud of you and EJ and what you've done as far as mentoring and being there for these young explorers to explore what the possibilities of being a firefighter in the future are. So you guys, in the eyes of everybody in American Canyon, are heroes. So just keep doing what you're doing, keep mentoring, and I appreciate what you guys are doing. So now I'll open it up to the board if they have any questions or clarifying comments to what you might have seen. Board Member Cruz.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. No questions, just want to congratulate you. Great job to the advisors, both captain, right? And this, if I'm not mistaken, aren't you a product of the Explorer program? Yep. Yeah. I think what you guys have to look up to. I mean, such an inspiration, such a mentor. So again, I applaud you for the program. And guys, keep your eye on the prize. You will one day be a firefighter soon enough. Great job.
Any other? Seeing none, is there any
Chair.
violation? Oh.
I wouldn't mind just saying some, one of the things I didn't really see in there, there's a lot of action shots, but the Explorers also help us out with public education. So they've been participants in the 4th of July parade, helping out with Marshall. They've also participated in Meet Me in the Streets, helping out. So there's a wide variety of what they do. Myself also, like Brando said, with Captain Rojas, I started out as a fire explorer, fire cadet back then. Back in, I don't even want to say 80-something.
Don't say it.
But it's and then I dedicated the majority of my 23 years with the City of Vallejo Fire Department as an advisor. And my hats are off to the advisors here, because not only are they helping these kids with just learning the trades of the job and how to get hired, they're mentors, they're helping them out in school, they're life coaches. There's a lot of times where these explorers come to our advisors and ask for direction, ask for help. So my hats are off to not just Captain Rojas and Abelos here, but the other advisors and the other members of the agency, the department, because they're all stepping up and helping out. Thank you.
Yeah, and when everybody's running away from the problem, you guys are running toward the problem. So, hey, hats off again. But my question was going to be to our attorney. Any problems with somebody taking a picture with us if they're 17 and below I think you're all sharp. I'd love to see a picture. No problem, right? Okay, so if we can get a picture with the Explorers, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, Laura runs with the picture thing. She'll put you all in order here. But I think we're going to do one picture with just the Explorers, advisors, and the board, and then we'll get the rest of the group in there.
So thank you again, once again, to the Explorers and the mentors of the Explorers and Chief. Thank you. Next, we'll have item number 4, which is a presentation from Napa Firewise. I'd like to welcome our guest speakers, and I would just ask that you guys introduce yourselves to the board. I kind of know who you guys are, but it's being recorded, so there are people online that would probably be worth introducing yourselves, so thank you.
Sure, happy to do it. And I would just add, this is actually a presentation by Napa Firewise and the Land Trust of Napa County. We are joint sponsors of the Citizens Initiative that we're going to be sharing with you, talking to you all about tonight. So my name is Joe Nordlinger. I'm the CEO of Napa Firewise.
And I'm Melanie Parker. I'm the CEO of the Land Trust of Napa County.
And we put together a little slide deck here to walk you through the broad strokes of what the Citizens Initiative is about, but we're also hoping to engage in a good discussion with you so you understand the context of how this initiative can help American Canyon with its wildfire resilience, also the resilience of water resources like the bay out here, the Wetlands Ecology Center, and your protected spaces and parks. So I realize there's a focus on fire, and I suspect that a good deal of this will be focused on that. But I think one thing that we'll want to emphasize is that really the resilience of any community is dependent in how you think about the integration of protected spaces like parks and pre-fire work. So I'll just give you a little background about myself, and then Melanie can talk a little bit about herself. My background is private sector. I'm the CEO of Napa Firewise. I've been involved in this wildfire resilience space for about 12 years now. Like the explorers, unlike the explorers in the sense of my age, I got involved with fire when I bought some land in rural Napa County. Realized the fire threat. At the time, I was the CEO of a fairly large technology and life sciences company, but decided that there was a threat to the property that I had. And so I went through the academy, became a volunteer firefighter, got involved with the oldest fire safe council in Napa. It's the Mount Veeder Fire Safe Council. And really started to think nights and weekends while I was running my company about how to improve the wildfire resilience of just not just my community, but the county more broadly. So I've been involved deeply in the space in thinking about how to find the money to pay for wildfire resilience. I've written millions of dollars in grants for the county, for the cities, and secured quite a bit of money. I've helped to develop the county-wide community wildfire protection plan, and so I've thought pretty deeply about how to address wildfire resilience at a county level, at a community level, and much of that is really sort of captured in this initiative that we've worked on developing with a variety of folks. And I'll let Melanie speak about her background as it relates to open space.
Sure, great. Good to meet you all, for those that I haven't met. Again, Melanie Parker. I am the CEO as of January of this year of the Land Trust in Napa County. Tell you a little bit about my background in a minute, but just want to put a pin in the fact that if you didn't already know this, the Land Trust is 50 years old this year. Been working since 1976 to conserve agriculture and landscapes in up and down the entire county. And about 20 years ago, our organization helped stand up the Napa Parks and Open Space District. And this measure, when we get to talking about the details, one of the sort of unfulfilled dreams that will come true with this measure passing would be fully funding the Napa Parks and Open Space District. Why is that important? Because as a land trust, we need a partner that we can work with to create parks and trails and playgrounds and all the things that folks want. So a little bit more about me. I did large landscape conservation for 20 years up in Montana before coming back home here to the North Bay in 2015 to run the Sonoma County Parks, Regional Parks Department. And in 2015, when I came back, I said, what are we doing about fire? What are we doing about fuels? What are we doing to protect communities? And I was told by several people in Sonoma County, you just have to put your mental calendar together. In 2015, quote, it doesn't burn here. I'm not kidding. So to fast forward, I rapidly put together the active stewardship program for that 20,000+ acre park system, grazing, thinning, prescribed burning, all the things. 2017, when the Tubbs and Nuns Fire conflagration both took out my neighborhood and a whole lot of others, I met with the fire professionals at the Sonoma County Fairgrounds, and I said, let's partner, let's do more. And so between parks and fire, fire over there, we've done dramatic work, both creating parks at the edges of cities and also stewarding those parks so that in the heat of the moment, they become the defense mechanism for the community. So it's one of the reasons I'm passionate about this ballot measure, and we'll talk more about it.
And I would just add that the Land Trust works on behalf of all of Napa County's residents. Napa Firewise works on behalf of all of Napa County's residents. And when I say county, that means cities and county residents. We've helped cities develop their community wildfire protection plans. Calistoga, Napa City, St. Helena. We've helped county areas, rural areas develop community wildfire protection plans. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. But let's dig into what this measure is about. It's a citizens-led initiative, which means that Napa Firewise and the Land Trust went out and decided to co-partner to gather the signatures to get this in front of the voters in November. And it essentially focuses on three broad areas of resilience that are fundamentally very integrated. One has to do with wildfire resilience. The other has to do with protection of water resources. That's riparian, watersheds, the bay, et cetera, and open space preservation and stewardship. So the initiative is a citizens initiative. We had to gather north of 7,000 signatures going out and working with individual members of the community. Those signatures were gathered, they were submitted to the registrar validated them and presented it to the Board of Supervisors. The Board of Supervisors unanimously, all 5 supervisors, approved the initiative to put it in front of the voters in November. So the initiative is a half-cent sales tax that generates around $23 million annually, and the half-cent sales tax lasts for 18 years. We felt it was important that the sales tax is renewed by the voters after 18 years. And so that $23 million that's generated, about 38% of it is paid for by tourists and visitors to the valley. I think it's important to understand that oftentimes cities and areas think about their sales tax. The reality is cities like American Canyon, Napa City, Calistoga, et cetera, they are collectors of the sales tax, but the sales tax is actually paid by county residents, out-of-county residents, et cetera. And so the nature of where the tax revenue comes from is not specific to a jurisdiction, and it's collected, and those funds are essentially what are captured in order to pay for this resilience work.
You want me to do the 2 buckets?
Yeah, go ahead.
So money is collected from the sales tax and it goes in 2 places. It goes, half the money goes directly to the Napa County Parks and Open Space District. It is its own board, its own elected board, and they can spend that money stewarding the parks and open spaces they already own. They could onboard new parks and open spaces in collaboration with folks like us at the Land Trust, and they will have a re-granting program, a granting program to nonprofits in cities that want to build their own sort of parks or park infrastructure or park projects. The other half?
The other half is collected by the county, but it never goes into the general fund. It's collected by the county, and then it has to be spent according to a very specific expenditure plan that's enumerated in the initiative. And if you're interested in the details of the initiative, which I presume many of you have looked at, you can go to saferresilientnapa.org. And the website has the full reading of the initiative. It also has some certain elements that are carved out. So essentially, the money must be spent on the fire side, half to Open Space District, the other half is spent on fire, must be spent according to a very specific expenditure plan. And that expenditure plan is essentially a reflection of all projects that have been contemplated and captured in all community wildfire protection plans in the county. So Napa Firewise has worked with county money and grant money to develop a total of 26 fire safe councils. These are city fire safe councils like Napa City and Calistoga and St. Helena. They're also rural community fire safe councils. Each one of those fire safe councils has a community wildfire protection plan, which is a list of a whole bunch of projects that are specific to that area, that jurisdiction or that, bound fire safe council area. And those include things like fuel management, they include vegetation management, they include things like critical fire roads that need to be maintained, they include things like defensible space cost share programs to help suburban residents that are out next to the WUI to do defensible space work. It includes outreach, education, the support of fire-safe councils, the support and the certification of FireWise designated communities, which can help to improve insurance outcomes. So the way the initiative reads, the expenditure plan is a reflection of all different types of projects that are generally captured in community wildfire protection plans, but any community wildfire protection plan, by default, once it's approved by the city and then the county, gets rolled up into the countywide community wildfire protection plan. And this is where there's an opportunity, I believe, for American Canyon, because we had secured money and we were working with American Canyon to develop your community wildfire protection plan. It is not yet complete, but there are a range of things that could wind up in a community wildfire protection plan that then would be eligible for funding under the measure. It's important to understand that there is no automatic funding. All these projects in community wildfire protection plans will need to go through some kind of a bid or a proposal process, but they are eligible under the language of the initiative to be funded by the dollars that are generated from the initiative. So, did you want to add
I mean,
anything?
you're not going through our slides, but I'll
Yeah.
I'll ramble a little bit more, just to say, from the accountability side, the way the ordinance was written is it does have an oversight committee, a citizens oversight committee. And as the person who managed our citizen oversight committee just over the hill, I think that's really important. It's important in terms of assuring that the dollars are spent in a way that comports to the language of the measure. It's important in doing those annual reports out to all the voters so that they know exactly what's being done, even if they don't come to the oversight committee itself. So the provisions of that are also on the website.
And why are we focused on this? I mean, as a practical matter, history has shown us now with multiple large fires, not just in the northern part of the county, but in surrounding counties, that fire is an issue. Climate, there is, a climate issue, set of climate issues that are impacting potentially water, the safety of communities. All of that is further resulting in increased insurance costs. And as we look out, as organizations that are out there chasing grant money, and that's what we do, we're looking for federal grants, state grants, community grants. We recognize that the availability of that funding is decreasing. It's more competitive and there's less of it. And so as a result, we also understand that we've been very successful in the county and in our cities to do a lot of work. All of that work must be maintained. And it gets harder and harder to secure grant money to do maintenance work. So in the end, we have to figure out how to control our own destiny to make sure that the investments that we've made, grazing in American Canyon, doing fuel breaks up around Napa City, doing work up in the northern part of the county, that work is maintained, because the reality is this stuff grows back.
And when you have a local source of money, you're actually more competitive for, in particular, state grants. It can also be the case for federal grants. And that's one of the things, is that Napa County is one of the few in the Bay Area where we're one of the few that we don't quite yet have our own dedicated funding for parks, open space, and fire.
Yeah. And one of the things that's interesting about American Canyon is your fuel regime around the city is a lighter, flashier fuel regime. It's grasses. Those things actually need maintenance every year, whereas in other areas of the county, we're working in maybe a more forested setting. Those projects require maintenance every 3 or 4 years. So this is just all consideration. When we do this work, we know that we have to go back and maintain it. So we look downrange. We see that the funding is less and less certain, and we understand that in the end, fire doesn't care about jurisdictional boundaries. It's going to move based on weather, topography, and fuel loads. And so the fires that potentially start in the county nearby could quite easily blow into more suburban communities here in American Canyon. It's the same that we see in Calistoga. It's the same that we see in St. Helena and Napa City. And that's why, as organizations, we're out there looking at how do we work closely across all these jurisdictional boundaries to develop projects and then to make sure that we secure the funding to implement them. So a dedicated source of local funding is really, really important. That's what we're focused on with this initiative. And so this evening we want to talk a little bit further, answer questions. We also want to make sure that we speak openly about how this measure can work in conjunction with the measure that the city is pursuing on their own to really augment the overall resilience and durability of the needs of the city here as it relates to wildfire, recreation, et cetera. Obviously, the open space side is parks and recreation, and so there's an element of that we can discuss as well. So why don't I kind of pause for a sec? We do want to go into the different kinds of projects that are eligible under the initiative that would likely be developed as part of the creation of a community wildfire protection plan. But if there are sort of initial questions at just this stage, I thought I'd kind of pause for a second and see if we could field any of those.
Okay, thank you, Joe. I'll turn it to the board to see if there's any clarifying questions that anyone has right now from what has been presented.
Okay, great. So let's
ahead.
dig in a little further then. So again, there's a little bit of sort of vernacular here and terminology. A community wildfire protection plan, referred to as a CWPP, is what comes as a community goes through thinking about things like wildfire resilience. And so that exercise generally involves, and we've helped the cities to do it. We started on the process here in American Canyon. It was paused, and so we are keen to get that process going. It involves in bringing in multiple stakeholders, doing work with the community, and that's folks that live in residential neighborhoods that are maybe in the suburbs that abut some of these grassy areas. It involves other agencies. It involves the city, et cetera. And the objective is to basically come up with a list of projects. And those projects could be pre-fire. Those projects could also involve things that the fire district needs as part of the way that it thinks about wildfire and fire resilience. So the development of the CWPP and the projects is included but not limited to things like the development and maintenance of critical roads, weed abatement, chipping. So if you think about it, you have rural landowners here in American Canyon, and those folks maybe do their own fuel mitigation. In the county right now, there's a chipping program that allows for individual landowners who are doing this work to amass this woody material, and then the county will come by and chip it. There's no cost to that. One of the things that we've recognized is that there are city dwellers who would like to participate in that program, but the county chipping program does not allow for that at the city level. So one of the things that the initiative says is we should make this resource available to all cities as well. The development and maintenance of critical fire roads includes critical access roads or fuel breaks, fire roads and containment lines around the city. So those are dirt roads that need to be maintained, re-scraped each year in anticipation of fires that could blow out of the wildland, the grassland areas, and into the city. Perimeter fuel breaks are things like disking around some of these suburban neighborhoods in American Canyon and making sure that if a fire comes in off, like the one that just happened the other day, if it comes in on the bay side or to the east here, that there's good barriers, good fuel reduction, good grass mowing and grazing and disking that gives firefighters a little bit more time to slow that down so it doesn't blow into, on a wind-driven event, into a suburban neighborhood. Other things that are considered that could be in the community wildfire protection plans are things like water storage and conveyance. There's the way we've looked at this is as we work with cities or fire safe councils to develop the community wildfire protection plan, that includes potentially the ongoing ability to contract with the fire district financially so that they can be our subject matter expert to help develop and implement not just the initial projects, but also how those projects are maintained. I mentioned perimeter fuel breaks. Things like prescribed fire in some of the grassland areas, other projects that might, I'm sorry, something's on the way here. Other things would be the support of fire safe councils. So in the case of Napa City, for example, we helped Napa City to secure a grant. We brought additional funds to the table. We helped them to develop their community wildfire protection plan. We're now in the process of working them to identify all the potential FireWise communities so we can get those communities a FireWise designation, a certificate, which helps with insurance, and how we might help the city to divide up the city into fire safe councils and then organize those fire safe councils so that they can coordinate and collaborate with the 26 fire safe councils that we run elsewhere around the county and the cities and in the rural areas. So these are a handful of examples of what of projects that, I'm not sure, can I scroll? There we go. Other ones would be defensible space inspections and cost share programs. So there may be suburban landowners that abut the WUI, the wildland-urban interface, and those folks might need assistance with defensible space cost measures. Things like reducing fuel around their homes, reducing vegetation that is potentially flammable. If a fire moves out of the wildland, out of this WUI interface, and then basically gets into a community, we want to make sure that we're helping people with defensible space. Those could be rural landowners, they could be suburban landowners, and sometimes those folks don't have the ability to do that work. They might need financial assistance. So there's a whole sort of spectrum of defensible space cost share resources that can be available for landowners that are considered usually as part of the Community Wildfire Protection Plan, and we would want to work with American Canyon as they develop their CWPP so that those measures are similarly available for resources as part of the initiative. Any questions about these kinds of projects? I would add, I had a conversation, oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to ask, I'm not certain how much you know about this last weekend, and I'm sure our chief is going to talk about that a little later.
Yeah, I monitored the fire. I was actually
okay.
in South Carolina, but yeah.
And I guess my question would be from a jurisdiction standpoint. You know, we had a fire that was close enough to American Canyon, close enough to Vallejo, but part of CAL FIRE. How much would you estimate, if you could, if Measure B came into play? How much of those revenues would be based in this area where you have multiple jurisdictions that cover an area, you know?
Yeah.
If you could even come up with a number on that, I don't even know how you would do that.
Well, I think the way to think about it is and I'm currently working on this with Chief Campbell, what are the types of projects that might be considered within your Community Wildfire Protection Plan? What are the costs of those projects? And then what are the costs of maintaining those projects? And what are those projects that would be eligible under the terms of the initiative? So when you look at a 5-acre fire that's out near the bay, the way I look at that is, well, what would have happened if there were good, if there was fuel reduction between where that fire took place and, let's say, for example, those suburban neighborhoods, and the annual maintenance of that work so that that fire perhaps could have been contained more rapidly. 5 acres is a pretty rapid containment. I mean, I would say it sounds like there was good response there. But if there was a perimeter fuel break, meaning reduced grass, maybe it's grazing, maybe it's weed eating, maybe it's disking, whatever the application would be, that project might cost on an annual basis hundreds of thousands of dollars to do, and then it would need to be maintained because it's a lighter, flashy fuel regimen. It would probably need to be maintained every year. And so, under the wrong circumstances, that fire had really gotten ripping and there was good wind, that could have accelerated much faster and it could have been something that was more significant. There was good agency response and coordination, so it was held to a pretty small footprint. But as you look around the city, and Chief Campbell and I have talked about this, there are a range of areas where you would want to do regular grazing, regular weed eating, maybe regular disking, and those are around future developments. Is it Watson Ranch, I believe is what it's called, right?
The new development.
And then some of these suburban neighborhoods that are out near Newell or the southeast part of the city, and all of that work, the grazing that happens within the city requires work to be done each year and then managed and maintained each year. So I do hope that I'll be able to present you, I have a sense directionally for what these total project eligibility are and what the total costs are, and then the cost of maintaining that. It's not immaterial. It's millions and millions of dollars if you extrapolate it out over the 18 years that the initiative would be in play. So those kinds of things would be eligible. I want to remind the city that you have not yet completed your CWPP. So there are a range of things that conceivably you could put in your CWPP, which would then be eligible because it's in the CWPP. And I had a chance to talk to Councilmember Oro about the fact that you all are interested in a rec center. Well, that rec center could have dual purposes as an evacuation center. That's a pre-fire item. So there are ways of thinking about the complexity of integrated resilience at a community level that I think you could contemplate as you're developing your community wildfire protection plan. Does that mean that you will get those monies strictly from the initiative? Not necessarily, but we're an organization that's out there figuring out how to help our cities and our county residents apply for grant money, whether that's FEMA money, whether it's congressionally directed spending earmarks from our senators and our Congress folks. So I think that building a robust CWPP with a variety of different kinds of projects in it improves the odds not just of accessing funds and being eligible for initiative funds from this tax initiative, but for other grants that we're here to help you chase.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there's a lot of synergy. There's a reason that these two organizations are working together on this. There's a lot of synergy when it comes to sort of putting your planning cap on, right? Because you're saying, well, we want development there. Maybe we want a park there as an amenity to those neighborhoods, but maybe we want to steward that park so that 364 days of the year, it's where you push the stroller or walk the dog, but that one day of the year, it's all prepped so that our fire partners can, back burn through it or stage out of it or whatever. So we're kind of coming at this from a very synergistic proposal of why don't we look for 18 years at how we overlap the planning of trails, parks, open space, and fire protection and invest these dollars strategically that way.
Yeah, I would take it a step further and say that as you're working on the community wildfire protection plan, you might say, hey, there's the need at the district level for a new staff role to focus on whatever it is, pre-fire work and coordinating with landowners and mapping different kinds of things. If it's in your CWPP, the way we've written this, that's something that conceivably could be eligible. Similarly, there might be some apparatus. There's a line in the initiative that talks about different kinds of equipment, whether those are brush rigs or chippers or whatever. Conceivably, there's a range of different kinds of pieces of equipment that could be eligible under the funding of the initiative. So in some respects, CWPPs are dynamic documents, so we encourage you. We have money to help you write your community wildfire protection plan. I know the process is kind of paused right now as a result of maybe the way the city's thinking about their own initiative. We don't know. We're here to help you complete your CWPP, to think about it in an integrated and dynamic way so that it includes a range of different resources and projects and potential expenditures so that if we're successful and the initiative passes, that those things could be eligible under the funding initiative.
Okay, well, seek to the board if they have any questions. Vice Chair?
Yes, and I appreciate the presentation. And I guess what I wanted to do is throw out kind of how I'm looking at this. If you look at this as how do we match up with a return to source? So, we know that a half-cent sales tax in American Canyon would generate probably $1.7 million a year.
Yeah.
So in the most selfish perspective, it's how are we going to get, either by the fire district or by the city, how can we get close to that $1.7 million in terms of eligible projects? And so granted, the fire district isn't going to get the full $1.7 million, but I'm curious to see how creative we can get with coming up with our CWPP or whatever, as well as other eligible opportunities, because I do think there's going to be some pushback at this level, arguing that, well, Up Valley is going to get a lot more of the fire dollar than we are because they've got all the trees and we just have grasses. And so I think it's important to understand how we in American Canyon can look at this proposal and say, no, there's lots of things we can do to be eligible, and those have big ticket items. And so, as a former finance person, I have a tendency to say, okay, financially, what's in it for me? It's the old saying about to a hammer, everything looks like a nail. To a finance guy, everything looks like a bottom line. So, how is it, I think you've described it, how is it can we get as much of our share of the tax dollar back to us? And I guess the CWPP is certainly one way. The synergy with open space.
I know it's mostly a fire thing,
Yeah.
but
Well,
I
no, but
will
I mean,
say,
this piece
I
is
do think I've heard some really big vision items that tie American Canyon into through trails that connect, up along the river, trails that connect the Baylands to the ridge. I mean, there's a lot of economic development around trails and parks. And so if we want to get people out of their cars and give them that amenity, so I would be thinking really big, how do we leverage even the small of $23 million a year for a lot more money from the state and feds to bring big projects to American Canyon. I mean, that's the kind of thinking I would hope that we could.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess I would echo that if you think about, there's two sides of this money. So when I think about how does American Canyon, not just the fire district, get its sort of fair market share of the money, then there are eligible projects, it would seem to me, for your existing parks. There are potential, future parks that the open space district would be interested in supporting. And so that's one side of it. On the fire district side, this is where I think it's critical. We're here to help you write a CWPP that prioritizes a whole range of different kinds of projects for the fire district and the city. These are pre-fire, it's fuel management, it's maintenance of roads, it's establishing new roads, it's helping your rural landowners, your suburban landowners that are against the WUI, thinking about, resources that you need within the fire district, because once it's in the CWPP and your city council approves it, and then I believe your supervisor needs to sign off on it too, the fire authority needs to sign off on it, then basically those are projects that are eligible. Our job at Napa Firewise and the folks that we work with in the sort of wildfire resilience space, the other nonprofits, is to make sure that we're prioritizing that work and that, we're advancing the interests of the city, because we care just as much about American Canyon as we do about St. Helena and Calistoga and Napa City. We've spent a bunch of time with Napa City to help them, and we're here to basically do the same thing for American Canyon, and then to make sure that as the county thinks about how to address projects in the county CWPP, which is an aggregation of all the other CWPPs, that we're there basically advocating and helping to prioritize work. So let's just, in simple dollars and cents, if the 11.5 million, the half cent here in American Canyon is gonna generate 1.7, I think you said, right? Okay, and so on the fire side, it's a total of $11.5 million. Is it realistic that you're going to get every bit of that 1.7? Maybe not, but it seems pretty practical that you could reasonably expect that we would be out there advocating for work in American Canyon that could equal, that 10% range. We can't make any guarantees, and I know that the fire district doesn't benefit from the city, the 1 cent sales tax, right? I mean, that money doesn't go to the fire district, so you're in a bit of a pickle because you're looking for how can you get funds for the fire district and pre-fire. And when we think about developing a community wildfire protection plan, it includes thinking about what does the fire district need and what are the pre-fire needs of American Canyon as well. So it seems like a fairly straightforward proposition. We would certainly be out there advocating for not just money from the initiative, but also how we can leverage those dollars with other grants, and we are pretty good at doing that. Generally speaking, for every dollar of money that we get from a source, we're able to unlock $2.50 elsewhere, and we would do the same thing for American Canyon that we've done for Napa City, that we've done for rural residents in the county, Calistoga, et cetera.
Board Member Lamatina.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Quick question, how many CWPPs have been completed, like in our area?
Yeah, so in the county, we've developed 26 CWPPs.
Okay.
So each of the fire safe councils that exist, 26, we just helped Napa City complete theirs. So that would be 27. There's not a one-to-one ratio of a CWPP to a fire safe council. So in the case of Napa City, we're working with their chief and their community. They may wind up with 2 or 4 fire safe councils that are a product of their community wildfire protection plan. So, Napa Firewise, anybody can go hire a consultant to do a CWPP, and there are consultants that are out there that do that. Napa Firewise, one thing that I've learned about wildfire, it's a very unique peril. It does not benefit from a high degree of fragmentation and everybody doing their own thing. It benefits from a cohesive strategy that pulls people together and aggregates data. Why is that important? It's important for fire response, suppression operations. The more fragmented data is, the more difficult it is to drive good suppression outcomes. The other thing is it's not helpful from an insurance standpoint. Part of what we do at Napa Firewise by acting as this sort of county-wide entity, looking out for the cities, looking out for the rural areas, is we aggregate that data, and that makes it our grant applications more effective. It helps insurers to understand the contextualized risk of our county, And so certainly the city could go out and do something independently if they wanted to, and they're welcome to do that. We have money to help the city today to complete your CWPP. And I think the city would benefit from us working to integrate that into the broader sort of county-wide strategy so that we're chasing money, we're aggregating data for good suppression response for these mutual aid agreements, and we're also aggregating data to improve insurance outcomes.
Thank you.
Hope that answers your question, Councilman.
Yes, thank you.
Board Member Oro, did you not want to do? Okay. Thank you, Joe and Melody. What, is there anything else from anybody else? Nothing else? That's good. I was going to ask if you could, when you're finished with the presentation, if you could have a seat up close, because I'm going to get ready to open up a public comment. And typically we don't allow people to talk about things that are on the agenda. This was on the agenda, but as a presentation. But I will make an exception for tonight. If there's someone here that wants to ask a question, they'll still have the 3 minutes if they may have a statement about the CWPP.
Sure.
So, and if I may have to call you back up for that, to answer that
No
question.
problem. We're here at your pleasure.
But thank you for that presentation. I think you both did well. Thank you.
Yeah.
With that said, at this time, I'd like to open the public comment for items that are not on tonight's agenda. As I just mentioned to Joe and Melody, that I will allow any statements or questions about the CWPP, since it was just a presentation tonight. And do we have any speaker cards?
Yes, we do. Barry? Christian?
I like the dress code tonight. I'm really glad I didn't wear a tie.
Thank you, Barry.
Barry Christian, American Canyon, and I'm speaking as a private citizen tonight on my own behalf. My interest has consistently been parks, trails, and open space, so I don't have as much to say about fire protection, but I was surprised to hear about an evacuation order last Saturday while celebrating Fran Limos. It reminded me that fire creates its own wind, and we know a lot about wind in American Canyon. We have plenty of it, and I have to admit my own contributions in that regard. I came here in 1989, and I was a volunteer advocate for the Ridge Trail. They told me the challenge in Napa County was no partner to work with. They could bring us grant funding, planning expertise, and volunteers, but there was no door to knock on, no phone number to call. Therefore, job one was to find or create a partner. And I heard about an effort to create a park district, so I called them up, asked how I could help. They referred me to Karen Rippey in American Canyon. So I called her up, she invited me over, handed me a stack of precinct lists. I got home, I called her back up, and I said, Karen, you gave me half of American Canyon. And she replied, well, Barry, I have the other half. So that's how I started, and we got 63% of the vote for that campaign, but it wasn't enough because we needed 66%, 2/3. The district was established in 2006, but it never received its own funding. It depends on the money from the Napa Board of Supervisors, BOS. We've tried 3 or 4 more times, but we always fell short of that 2/3. This campaign offers a unique and perhaps singular opportunity to pass the measure with 50% of the vote, because state courts ruled recently that a citizen's petition, which this is, only requires 50%. But the Taxpayers Alliance has already placed another measure on the same ballot. It will amend the state constitution to again require 66%. And they only need 50% of the vote statewide to do that, so it's probable or likely that it could pass. I don't think we'll ever get 66%. 25% of the electorate automatically votes against everything. That means you got to get 11 out of 15 of the next 75%. It's really difficult. And if Measure B doesn't pass, NOSD will muddle along with the yearly grant from the BOS, but it'll never be able to help American Canyon with much of anything because it has hit a ceiling on what it can do with the staff it has and the properties it manages. What's at stake is $11 million a year for 18 years. You may have been told the money will not be spent in American Canyon, that it'll all be spent up valley. How many people have actually read the expenditure plan? It's in the ballot measure, and if the measure passes, it will become law. It will be the law. I've had informal conversations that confirm my reading of it. We can use the money for the Vine Trail, the Bay Trail, the Wetlands Ecology Center, Newell Open Space Preserve, and wetlands trail maintenance and protection against sea level rise, including replacing the dangerous culvert, which has already drowned 1 dog and could easily drown a child. Where's the city going to find the money for these projects otherwise? Vallejo beat us to the punch by completing their section of the Bay Trail, while we haven't even planned or funded our own connection to them to Wetlands Edge. This is an historic opportunity. Please don't throw it away to protect a 1-cent sales tax campaign that can be run anytime and as many times as you want and will always only require 50%. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Any other public comment?
Yes, Beth Goff.
Good evening, Beth.
Good evening. How are you? I'm Beth Goff, and I'm here to kind of make you put on your fire protection board hats and take off your city council hats, because you are the board that is really going to decide whether you're going to support this or not, and it has a good impact. I just want to remind you that as a city, American Canyon is very proud of its wetlands and open space. That's something we promote. That's something that we encourage people to come and visit. And this initiative could really help us build that up and protect it for the long run. I live right near that fire on Wetlands Edge, and I have to tell you, I've lived here for 21 years, and I always felt very safe that, you know, oh, the fire's always over there where it's open space. So on Saturday, it was unnerving to say, wow, it can actually get to me. Last spring, I was recruited to lead the FireWise community group down here. And I was very excited to do that and very discouraged when they said, well, we kind of have to put it on hold because there are other things going on the ballot. A little discouraging. More discouraging when I found out that my city council is my fire protection board. You guys are in a pickle, in a real pickle, and I understand that. But I need you to understand that as a fire protection board, you have to focus on that when you look at this initiative, not as a city council, but as a fire protection board. The other thing I want to really put out there, and you have all heard me complain about, you know, yeah, we put money in and Napa takes it all. But I'll tell you, in this initiative, we have to think as a county. We have to step up for once and say, you know, we are part of Napa County. What happens up valley impacts us. When they have fires up there and their grapes are destroyed and they're not making their wine, it impacts us in bottling and warehousing. We know that. So if we can help mitigate fire throughout this valley, we benefit. Now, Mark, I know you're a numbers guy, and I get it, but sometimes your spreadsheet does not tell the whole story. So I really want you to kind of put it in perspective that when there's a fire anywhere in this county, American Canyon is impacted in a big way. The other thing I want to say is there's one more thing, and now I can't even remember what it was. See? I've lost track, but that's okay. I really want to take a minute, too, to just congratulate the Explorers. I'm very proud of you. I love this program. I've had several former students go through the program, and I'm just so proud of you guys. Thank you so much for doing what you do. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Beth. Anyone else in the room?
No, Chair.
The birthday girl.
This is Mary Helms, resident American Canyon, 53 years. It's not regarding the CWPP, but it's regarding what he mentioned about the percentage of the tax. I just want clarification if I heard it correctly. Roughly 1.7 million would be, and he was saying that we would only get about 10%, so $170,000.
Well, the 1.7 is roughly half,
right.
Half percent for us in American Canyon. I'm not sure if the 10% referred to the 1.7 million or if it's 10% of the 11 million that fire district's going to get.
That would be a huge difference, right?
That
yeah.
would be. So that would be like $1 million-ish
yeah.
versus a couple $100,000.
Yes.
$1 million-ish is not bad.
Not bad. Thank you.
That's fine. Go ahead.
So basically, that's right. It's 10% of the 11.5. That doesn't include whatever the open space side is. So of the 11.5 million, you know, as I've been sort of looking at the kinds of projects, and I've just had initial conversations. We haven't completed the CWPP. It's pretty clear to me that there's somewhere in the order of magnitude of, you know, $12 to $18 million in projects that I've identified in American Canyon on the fire side that would be eligible under the initiative. That doesn't take into consideration things like staffing or equipment or anything like that. And so it doesn't seem unreasonable to me that there's quite easily around that amount of money that would be eligible on an annual basis, you know, for different kinds of projects. And that's where we want to complete the CWPP, is we can extrapolate that out and see what those numbers are. So it's not 10% of 1 point, yeah, it's 10% of the 11 and a half.
So now that I entertain the vice chair's financial thing, we're going to close public comment, and we're going to move on to agenda changes. Are there any agenda changes from the board? Seeing none, I'll accept the motion to accept the consent calendar and the 6 items of consent.
So moved.
We have a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
And a second. Madam Clerk, can you do a roll call, please?
Board Member Cruz?
Yes.
Board Member Lamatina?
Yes.
Board Member Oro?
Yes.
Vice Chair Joseph?
Yes.
Chair Washington?
Yes. For public hearings, we do not have anything on our agenda for public hearing this evening, so I'll move to the business item. One item on business item number 8, the industrial disability retirement of firefighter Nathan Krebs. Would that be you?
Yes. Just to keep it brief, I gave you guys all more elaborate information inside closed session that due to HIPAA laws, I can't really elaborate in open session here, but we're a contracting agency with CalPERS, the retirement system, and including one of our firefighters that was injured a couple years ago. Per the government code, it requires that the governing body of the contracting the agency contracting with CalPERS need to certify to CalPERS whether a safety member who applies for disability retirement is incapacitated, unable to perform their duties. And that's where we're here tonight. So the employee that has submitted for his disability retirement is going through the process. This is the last leg of the process. He's filed all his paperwork. That paperwork is under review with CalPERS. And then our part is to have you tonight approve a resolution determining the industrial disability retirement for firefighter Krebs and the district safety employee covered by the contract with the California Public Employees Retirement System. And I'm open to any questions that you want.
Thank you, Chief. I'll open for any questions from the board. Seeing none, I'll open it for public comment on item number 8. Seeing none in the room. Anybody online?
No, Chair.
Thank you. I'll close public comment. And I will return to the board for any clarifying questions or a motion to approve the resolution to determine the industrial disability retirement for firefighter Nathan Krebs.
If there's no other comments, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2026-24, a resolution of the American Canyon Fire Protection District determining industrial disability for firefighter Nathan Krebs, a district safety employee covered by contract with the California Public Employees Retirement System.
Second that motion.
Motion and a second. Can we get a roll call, please, Madam Clerk?
Board Member Cruz?
Yes.
Board Member Lamatina?
Yes.
Board Member Oro?
Yes.
Vice Chair Joseph?
Yes.
Chair Washington?
Yes. Now we'll move on to our chief's update and staff oral reports, if any.
Thank you. And first of all, I'd like to thank all the explorers for showing up here today and being a part of the presentation. I think it means a lot to your advisors. See your dedication as well to be here. And I'd like to thank Joe and Melanie for coming in and doing their presentations tonight as well. One of the things that we had, Laura Preventure and our admin staff has been working diligently for 3 years trying to get up-to-date safe surrender kits for our firehouses and also signs to put on the stations. And what safe surrender is there's laws out there that basically allow somebody who has had a pregnancy in lieu of the horror stories that we've heard about people going through postpartum issues and throwing babies in cans and things like that we don't like to talk about. It offers a ability for the person to hand it over to safe surrender, hand it over to the fire department. Both our fire stations are dedicated safe surrender locations. But we were short on our advertisement, both in English and in Spanish, and our updated signage. She'd been working for 3 years on this, going back and forth, and I'd been trying to help out as far as, pushing, I guess you could say, a gold badge on trying to get, a little extra effort. And finally came across one of our family members that actually had mentioned reaching out to Aguilar Curry and basically seeing if they can offer some help. And after a 3-year process, in a matter of 3 days, we were able to get our order processed through and shipped to us and get us updated. So it's been a 3-year project that she's been dedicated working on that we finally were able to resolve. And we like to thank Assembly Person Aguilar Curry and her staff for assisting us with that. We also conducted Waymo training. So we heard several months ago that the city of Napa will be getting, or should be in the area, potential for Waymo autonomous vehicles. And we were told that once they kind of give that notification, they usually give you a 6-month warning. I wouldn't say warning, a 6-month heads up. And then it can happen, shortly thereafter. It can be 6 weeks, it could be 3 years, 5 years, whatever. We really don't know. But when we got that information several months ago, we started reaching out and kind of figuring out, okay, if these autonomous vehicles are going to be going through our area of Napa, the wine country, coming through American Canyon in our fire district, that we'd like to provide some training for our members. We reached out to Waymo, and they were very dedicated. We also teamed up with the police department, and we started kind of putting together a training session. So recently we did, at 9 o'clock in the morning, we provided training for the police officers. They sent it out to all the neighboring agencies, police agencies, to come in, and they really had a good in-depth conversation and presentation from Waymo on the vehicle, what we're going to encounter, and how public safety can deal with certain types of events related to the police department. Then at 10:30, it switched to the fire department. So we had agencies, we pushed it out to all the Napa County fire chiefs and training officers, and we pushed it out to Solano County. We had agencies from Napa City Fire, obviously American Canyon, Vallejo, Napa County, Cal Fire, Fairfield, Sassoon District, Calistoga, Vacaville City, Vacaville Fire Protection District, CMF. We had agencies from all over, and even Napa State Hospital, from all over. So it was a good turnout. It was well received, and we would like to thank Waymo for providing that training for us. It made us all a little bit more comfortable. Now we do understand that the vehicles could come in a couple months, they could come in a couple years, but the idea is to get our people up to speed, trained a little bit, get them more familiarized with what's going on, and if they don't come for a couple years, then they'll come back and give us a refresher training. So I'd like to provide, we've talked in the past about our collaboration with the union on sending a member to paramedic school, and not paramedic yet, but Kyle Murchison, who's actually here. I'm going to have you stand up back there just so they can get a good face. So I'm proud to say there's 3 phases to a paramedic program. There's your didactic, which is in school. There's your clinical time, which is in your hospital time. And then there's your internship, which is out in the field. He has successfully completed his didactic time, so his in-school time, and he's moving forward. And I believe is it Thursday you start at Vaca Valley? Up in Vacaville. So I'd like to congratulate you on that. We also had, moving on, we had our hazmat team that did a joint hazmat training doing an oil spill, which also utilized our boat that we received as part of our grant that we've spoke about in the past. And it was a joint effort between the hazmat and multiple agencies with us, City of Napa, County, recently as well. I'd like to remind everybody that National Night Out is on August 4th, and join all of us. I know you all will be out there, and we'll be out there as well on August 4th. We also did some joint training with REACH and Copter 11, and we spent I spent 3 days going out to Angwin and all the volunteer organizations out there. We went up to the Napa County training facility to hit the agencies down here, and then we spent last Sunday up at Capel Cove, kind of hitting all the volunteer fire departments and CAL FIRE stations up in that area, just to kind of do a good refresher training on landing zones and the safety, and having them do what we call a hot load, where they actually loaded up one of their volunteer firefighters in a backboard and loaded them up into a air ambulance that was, the rotors were still spinning, and then got to get a good question and answer training session for each of them. It took a couple hours apiece. So I would like to thank our partners with REACH on collaborating with that as well, and Copter 11. And then just to kind of give you a little picture on vegetation management, we've been, obviously we talked about in June, we kind of filed our weed abatement forms, and we've been pushing through with the June and July on getting our weed abatement done and the importance of it. I'd like to thank Bob Dunn with the Public Works Department. He came to the fire station. We sat down with our staff, and we really went through our wall map so we can get a picture of the city and what areas have been addressed with the grazing project, what areas haven't been addressed. And it was a good collaboration with both of us, because we addressed some of our concerns that they can get, that he wasn't aware of, but more importantly, he also brought up some areas for us of things that could be addressed. And the collaboration and communication between the two of us, all of us together, was just unmatched. And I actually told Erica Smithies that in the management team meeting. And one of the things that it brought to light is the area off of Meadow Bay Drive, which is where we recently had the fire. That area literally got mowed 1 week prior to the fire, and it made a difference out there. It created the necessary fire break to shorten the fuels down and make it manageable, so that the fire didn't go right up against the fence line of all the houses that were in that area when the fire started to approach. Then I'll move into the fire debriefing. So as we all talked about on Saturday, around 12, there was a fire that came in off a Dutch Flat in the city of Vallejo. I know we had mentioned it earlier here, that there was some, I wouldn't say confusion on whose area it is. It's collaboration, it's coordination between multi-agencies, but started in the city of Vallejo. Theoretically, it was behind the homes, so it was actually in the county. And then we also got reports off of Marla that it was in the city of American Canyon. So multiple agencies responding at the same time, but all working together. Our battalion chief, the battalion chief from the city of Vallejo, and then both collaborated and did unified command, recognized that it was within Napa County. County was also notified en route, and the three of them worked together, as well as PD, to mitigate that fire. As always, we always wanted to go out a lot faster than it did. The wind shifted, there was ember casting, there was a lot of stuff that was going on. Once we got the helicopters out there, that really made impact and knocked the fire down a lot faster. You just got to understand that the marshland that's out there is very difficult for firefighters to access. We can't drive our apparatus out there. Even walking out there, some of our firefighters were, knee deep, mid-thigh high deep in water and sludge, and trying to walk through the tules. I was even told that some of them had to lay ladders down just so that they can crawl through some of the stuff on top of it, just so they can get through. They all did an exceptional job of working together, collaborating together between CAL FIRE, Vallejo, American Canyon, and all the resources from Fairfield, other agencies that came in to assist us to mitigate this fire. I know it kept coming around that said that fire was a 5-acre fire. It was difficult to see. So we were looking at, based on what CAL FIRE had said, or County Fire, that they estimated 5, maybe 10 acres. Once it was all said and done, they mapped the fire out with technology and it came to 32.5 acres. So it was a lot bigger than it was initially said, but it really hasn't come out. Or it has come out, it's out on media and stuff, but it just verbally I wanted to make you aware that it was a lot bigger than 5 acres. We recently had drone training too with the police department, and it was very important on this fire that the drone training we had a week and a half, 2 weeks ago with all of our staff. The police officer, Ron, came out there and he started flying his drone immediately to kind of get eyes in the sky because we were having access issues, to kind of get us an idea of what was going on. And he worked with the battalion chiefs at the command post to be able to get ahead of this fire and plan ahead of the fire. Obviously, when the helicopters and fixed wing get there, we have to bring the drone down. But he even returned and came back after the helicopters got, just to give us a better picture of what we were dealing with. So we'd like to thank the police department in assisting us with that. And then, obviously, there was some, I wouldn't say confusion. There was media that was going out, the evacuations. There's a lot of dynamics to a fire that's going on. We worked very diligently to get out timely and factual information. But things do move quickly, and things move quickly to the point where we don't need to evacuate, but maybe we should, just precautionary, just to get them out of there. And then all of a sudden you start knocking the fire down and you need to cancel the evacuation. So there's some frustrations I heard from some citizens that, do I evacuate, do I not evacuate? But there's reasons behind it. We try to think ahead and plan ahead. And yes, we asked for evacuations, but we also tried to rescind that order as soon as possible so people can get back to some normalcy. But one of the things that did is that activated our CERT team. And our CERT team came out and did an exceptional job helping us out with getting people, controlling the area, giving us traffic control to have people stop driving through where all our fire engines are, but managing that and working with them. We made contact with them. They made contact with PD as well. We were also talking about splitting them up to send some to the shelter, as we were working with the school district to try to get a shelter opened up when we started evacuations. And then we didn't end up not having to do that because they got rescinded. But they were out there and did an exceptional job. And I just want to recognize the director, Mary Helms, Pal, PJ, Carrie, Jan, Chris, and Michael, that were all out there the day. And I do want to bring up that I found out, not to get off topic, but today is Mary's birthday.
Yes.
So now you can see her blush really good there. But I want to wish you a happy birthday, and I want to thank all the CERT members for your timely and quick response to get out there and help everybody. It did make a good impact in the incident itself. So thank you all. And then lastly, I want to recognize Laura Preventure. She's our PIO. She responded to this incident, worked with the incident command post, and identified that nobody from Napa County Fire, even though this is their incident, they didn't have their PIOs. So she took it upon herself to say, I can give you the information. Is it okay if we put out the information and we tag you guys so that you guys are getting the same information? And in a very quick manner, she started gathering information from the incident command post, communicating with the school district to get a representative to start working on opening a shelter, working with county OES to try to get connection where she realized there was a failure with some information going to the Everbridge system, and she started working with OES to get that information out. A lot of the information you saw on Watch Duty app, if you guys had that app, was information that they pulled from hers, from our website. And really impressed on everybody on the scene, but very much impressed with our PIO, who stepped up, took charge of an incident that wasn't even ours, but collaborated with all these agencies to get out timely and factual information. So I want to thank Laura Preventure for that, because she really took over for Napa OES, the American Canyon School District, American Canyon PD, Napa County Fire, and she took the lead on that and did an exceptional job, and I want to thank you. And with that, that concludes my chief's report, and I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the Chief? Board Member Lamartina.
Thank you. After the whole incident, the next couple days, I did converse with a lot of people that lived over there, and they were just so very thankful. They didn't care about the evacuation. They were just happy that you did the notice, they got out, and just very grateful. So thank you to everyone that was involved.
Thank you.
On that, I just want to caveat on that. I did receive one notification of somebody kind of stating that they felt the fire response was slow. But I can guarantee you that the fire response was quick and swift. But because the fire started on the Vallejo side, all the resources went into Vallejo, off of Dutch Flat, access from there. So the people on Wetlands Edge and everything that was down on Meadows Bay and everything there that was felt threatened at the beginning, I can assure nobody was threatened until we got resources there before there was any threat to them. But because they didn't see the resources early and they felt like it was a slow response, it's because they were on the Vallejo side. So you see smoke, you don't necessarily see the fire engines, but I can assure you that they were quick, they were swift, and they were actively firefighting that, just in a location you couldn't see.
Thank you. Board Member Cruz.
Yeah, Chief, do we know what started that fire?
I have ideas, but I'd be speculating. It's under investigation. So, and then because it's not our incident, I don't really want to speak on it. But
What I do want to say, Chief, is a thank you. Thank all you guys that went out there and responded to that incident. You guys are true heroes. I mean, we're sitting amongst a bunch of heroes in this room right now. George and Melanie, thank you for your presentation. Thank you very much. Sir, team, what can I say? Proud of my people over here. You guys did an awesome job. Thank you. To our future heroes sitting back there, can't wait to see you in the uniform, being real firefighters, and to our guys back there, thank you very much. Laura, you're awesome. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Thank you, Chief, for that report, and I as well will echo what everybody else here has said. I'm proud of the city, I'm proud of the fire department and the things that we do. And I was on a call with a couple of residents, and actually one resident was complaining, and then she quickly said, well, wait, there's somebody coming to me with a green shirt. I'm like, oh, that's a CERT member. So I was kind of comical, but she said that she felt more comfortable because she had somebody she could talk to. So thank you for, settling people's nerves down while you guys were out there. With that said, I'll move on to the chair and board member committee reports and/or future agenda items all at once. So, Chair, do you have anything? Nothing? Board member Oro? No. Board member Lamartina? No. Board member Cruz? Well then, with all that said, we have concluded our business this evening and we are adjourned. Good night, American Canyon.